The journey that began in the shadow of famine and the silence of the grave reached its glorious conclusion in the bustling streets of Bethlehem. The empty and death that once defined Naomi's existence were replaced by the vibrant reality of full and the new life. Using the today's English version, we witnessed the final chapter of this restoration, where God's compassion turns a bitter past into a fruitful future. The legal restoration, the path to new life, was paved through the organization and integrity of Boaz at the city gates. By fulfilling his role as the kinsman redeemer, he didn't just buy a piece of land. He restored the inheritance of a family that seemed destined for extinction. In front of the town's elders, Boaz made his commitment official. Boaz said to the leaders and all the others, "You are witnesses today that I have bought from Naomi everything that belonged to Elimelech. In addition, Ruth, the Moabite, becomes my wife." Ruth 4:9-10. The deal was sealed with the ancient tradition of exchanging a sandal, a symbolic gesture that the crisis of the family line was officially over. The gift of a son, the true sanctification of their new life, came when the Lord blessed the union of Boaz and Ruth. The woman who had left Moab in misery and arrived in Bethlehem empty was now the mother of a child who represented the continuity of the covenant. So Boaz took Ruth home as his wife. The Lord blessed her, and she became pregnant and had a son. Ruth 4:13. This child was more than just a baby. He was the physical manifestation of rest for Naomi's weary soul. He was the answer to the empty space left by the deaths of her husband and sons. Naomi is fullness. The community that had once watched Naomi return in bitterness now gathered to celebrate her restoration. The women of Bethlehem recognized that God's priorities had always been centered on Naomi's well-being, even when she couldn't see it. The women said to Naomi, "Praise the Lord. He has given you a grandson today to take care of you. May the boy become famous in Israel. Your daughter-in-law loves you, and she has done more for you than 7 sons could have done." Ruth 4:14-15. Naomi, who had once asked to be called Mara because of her bitterness, now held a new life in her arms. She became the nurse for the child, finding a new purpose and a residence of joy. Naomi took the child, held him close to her, and took care of him. Ruth 4:16. A legacy beyond Bethlehem. The new life born in Bethlehem was not just for Naomi's family. It was a prediction of a much greater story. The neighbor women named the child Obed, but his name would eventually be linked to the greatest kings of Israel and the ultimate redeemer. The neighbor women gave him a name. They called him Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David. Ruth 4:17. The story of Ruth proves that through dedication and compassion, God can take a life of empty and death and make it full, with a legacy that impacts the world for generations to come.